wanted to share a spiritual impression that I received this week as a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, or what the world would call Mormon. So first of all, a little backstory. The past few years, the past 3 to 4 years, have actually been very difficult for me, and I've had a lot of opposition and a lot of adversity in my personal life, with things at home as well as with my parents that are getting a divorce, things happening in my siblings' life, and there's just been a lot of chaos and contention and just a lot of adversity that I've had to deal with. And through this time in my life, I became more and more bitter and wondered where God was in all of this, and I started to point the finger at God, and I really felt like a victim, and I felt sorry for myself, which led me to not want to pray, and it just really frustrated my relationship with God. This last week, I was watching the funeral of our apostle that recently passed away, Jeffrey R. Holland, who I actually named my son after. We named Holland. And during that funeral, his children were speaking about some of the adversity and trials that he faced in his life that most people never knew about, and you would never know at meeting him because he was so optimistic and he just had this zest for life, and he just had this unwavering faith. And the impression came to me, a scripture from the Book of Mormon that is, "Ye shall receive no witness until after the trial of your faith." This really struck me when I heard this in my mind, because for the past 3 to 4 years, I've been demanding a sign from God with no effort on my part and not increasing my faith, and almost being entitled to it, like, look, God, I've done all these good things, my life is really hard, and you need to show me a sign. But that's not how God works. He obviously allows bad things to happen in our lives, and how we respond to them is how we show our faith. And unfortunately, the past few years, I have not been very faithful. And so when this impression came to me, that you shall receive no witness until after the trial of your faith, I made the decision right then and there that I would increase my faith. And so then I did just that. I began praying every day more earnestly, reading my Bible and my Book of Mormon, and really making time for the Lord to actually hear his voice and to cut out the distractions in my life. And then came this little moment of quietness one day when I was staring at this little candle and really studying this little flame and thinking about how before I was about to blow it out, just this one little puff of air would be enough to extinguish this little flame. But then I thought that the very same thing that could extinguish the flame can also fan the flame and make it bigger and bigger until it is all consuming, like a forest fire that cannot be contained. And so in that moment, the Lord taught me that what the air symbolized was adversity, it was tribulation, it was opposition. The same opposition that could be enough to extinguish the flame of someone else's testimony, or someone that's allowed it to dwindle down to nothing, can also be the very thing that can propel you forward spiritually, and that can make your testimony stronger than ever before. So just remember that the very thing that can put out the light for most people, that can cause them to become bitter and resentful, and that they would allow to kill their testimony of God, can also be the very thing that makes you the strongest ever and the closest to God ever. And I can tell you that since I made that decision in my heart and I made this realization about my situation, that I have been much happier as I've read the scriptures. I've increased my faith and said my prayers, and I'm choosing to trust in the Lord and trust that he knows what he's doing with me in my life. I have genuine peace and real joy, despite the fact that this adversity is still swirling around me. And so I just wanted to share this with those people out there that are inevitably struggling with something, that our reaction is ultimately what will make or break us and make us happy in this life. And so for any of you struggling with something, try increasing your faith instead of increasing your doubts.